we're going to be breaking down all of the future characters that are going to be coming to Marvel Rivals and all of their abilities. So if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and without further ado, let's start things off with Iron Fist. So he's only got a description for this character so far, and the description goes as this: Lin Li is a master of Chinese martial arts who once wielded the shattered sword of Fu Zi. After fusing its pieces with the mighty Shi of Shu Lao, he is poised to strike his foes with the grace and force of a soaring dragon as the latest immortal Iron Fist. Next up, we have Wolverine, who also just has a description so far, and his description is: thanks to his regenerative healing factor and his berserker rage, the centuries-old Logan can fight through the worst pain to go claw to claw with any foe. The Wolverine stands ready to shred through all obstacles in his way with his adamantium claws. So I am hyped to play Wolverine whenever he comes out, and I look forward to looking at what his abilities are going to be. Moving on to the Winter Soldier, you can pause the screen to read his full biography, but I'll just read his brief description. So, terrifying experiments turned him into a brainwashed assassin, but now James Bucky Barnes is in control of his own fate once again. With his enhanced mechanical arm, the Winter Soldier is primed to deliver earth-shattering blows to any foe in his path. So I'm going to be going over a full video of all of these characters individually, so there'll be separate videos where we will try and guess and come up with different ideas as to what his abilities should be. Now on to Ultron and his abilities. So we have Algorithm Correction, which is hold jump to fall slowly. Incepilo Ray, unleash a burning energy beam. Imperative Fireball, summon drones to grant bonus health to allies within range, centered on himself and the ally marked by Imperative Patch. Dynamic Flight, which is fly quickly in the direction of movement and then enter a free flight mode. Imperative Patch, command a giant drone to follow an ally, constantly healing allies in its radius, with more healing for designated allies. And Rage of Ultron, which is summon Ultron drones to fire in Chetfalo rays, damaging enemies or healing allies. I'm pretty sure I pronounced some of them a little bit wrong, but I'm going to be, like I say, I'm going to be going over all these characters in a longer video so we can fully break down like what these abilities mean. But I think all those abilities sound good, and being able to summon extra drones is going to be really fun. The Thing doesn't have any abilities yet, but his description says that he's a rock star of any team he's on, always at the forefront of the fight, and the Thing shields his allies with his unbreakable form, selflessly fending off any harm that comes their way. Moving on to Squirrel Girl's abilities, we've got Burst Acorn, which is shoot bouncing burst acorns. Squirrel Blockade, which is launch an acorn to unleash squirrel guards, imprisoning the first hit enemy. Tail Bounce, which is rocket upwards with a bounce of her tail. Mammal Bond, reload burst acorns and can use an ability without cooldown once in a short duration. And Unbeatable Squirrel Tsunami, which is summon a horde of squirrels to charge forward, dealing damage while bouncing against structures. If you want to see the biography, please pause it and give it a read, as I'll be breaking this down in a separate video. Pyslocke only has a description at this point, which is the psychic warrior known as Psy has the mutant ability to conjure a variety of weapons with the power of her mind. Gracefully gliding across the battlefield, this trained ninja can shatter the enemy's defense with a single fall. We've seen her teased, so I think Psylocke will be one of the next characters to be revealed. Mr. Fantastic's abilities are Elastic Strength, which his skills generate elasticity, boosting attack power reaching full elasticity, triggers an inflated state that restores health and boosts even more damage. Stretch Punch, stretch out forward punch to attack enemies. Distended Grip extends arms forward to entangle an enemy, then press left mouse click to select and yank another enemy, knocking them up one another. Flexible Elongation, select a target and dash towards them, dealing damage to enemies and granting bonus health to allies. Reflexive Rubber, stretch body to absorb damage before launching stored damage in the targeted direction. And Brainiac Bounce, which is leap upward and smash the ground, knocking up enemies within range. Upon hitting an enemy, leap again up to 6 times. Moving on to another member of the Fantastic Four, we've got Human Torch, and his abilities are Fire Cluster, launch forward a splittable fireball, Plasma Body, hold left shift to enter a state of accelerated ascent, Blazing Blast, launch a fireball to create a flame field at the targeted area. Burning Saw, which is soar rapidly upwards. Flaming Meteor, dive towards the ground, dealing damage to enemies and detonating any flame fields hit. Pyro Prison, contact flame fields to form a firewall that deals continuous burning damage to enemies, and Supernova, which is explode with cosmic fire to deal damage to enemies within range. Upon skill activation, all flame fields will transform into flame tornadoes, dealing extra damage. If you want to read his biography, please hit pause because we'll be breaking him down in a separate video. Moving on to the final member of the Fantastic Four is Invisible Woman. No abilities yet, but her description is, the Invisible Woman is able to slip in and out of sight without a trace, no matter how intense the battle may be. Susan Richards will always keep her cool, conjuring up impenetrable force fields to protect herself and her team. Looking forward to seeing what her abilities are going to be in the future. Another character that I'm excited to play is Moon Knight, so let's go over his abilities. We've got Lunar Kinesis, which is Crescent Dart and Moonblade can be bounced between enemies and the anchors. Crescent Dart, which is unleash Crescent Darts forward that can bounce between enemies and anchors. Moonblade, launch forward a Moonblade that can bounce between enemies and anchors. The Anchor Siphon, fire an anchor to reveal and stun invisible enemies within range. Lunar Chain, launch a frontal grappling hook that pulls Moon Knight towards it. Night Glider, hold space to glide. The Age of Khonshu, Khonshu bombards enemies with his talons and reveals and stuns invisible enemies within range. Rising Leap, perform a double jump. And Lunar Aura will reveal and stun nearby invisible enemies within its radius. If you want to read the biography, please hit that pause button because we'll be breaking down Moon Knight and what all these abilities mean in a separate video. So leave a comment down below as to which character you want me to do next. Moving on to Blade, he doesn't have abilities, but he does have a description and a little bit into his weapons. So he's half human and half vampire. Eric Brooks walks between worlds, craving the very life force of his enemies. As night falls, Blade's hunt begins as he wields the swords of Dracula to become the nightmare of any foe who dares to bare their fangs. So it does seem like he has two primary weapons that require you to switch between them, like some other characters. They are a shotgun blast and a blade slash. It'll be interesting to see what his ultimate ability will be. So for Captain America, we have his biography, which you can pause to read, because like I said, I will be making a separate video on all of these characters. But there's a little bit of information in regards to his abilities. So he's got Diving Strike, Shield Charge, and a Special Jump. And it appears that he can also create an Absolute Defense Shield. And so, this is Captain America 2099. It's probably something a bit more futuristic than the normal shield we've seen from like the films and the comics. So maybe it'll just like appear like holographically from his arm due to some leaked images. But I will be making a video in regards to what the open beta for this game will be and why I think Captain America will be the next character released alongside with Psylocke. So if you want to see that video, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and let's get into the next one. The next character being Black Widow. So her abilities are Rapid Fire, unleash a barrage of bullets with the electromagnetic rifle. Straight Shooter, activate the electromagnetic rifle's aim down sights to line up a damage shot with high accuracy. Infra Detector, swap the next bullet for an infra detector, revealing enemy positions in its area for a short duration. Edge Dancer, dash in the direction of movement, propel upwards upon hitting an enemy or a wall. Dive and Strike, when Edge Dancer is used and Black Widow is aloft, she can activate it again to unleash the accumulated energy, damaging and stunning nearby enemies. Line Dash, fire a Widow's Lane that propels Black Widow towards a targeted destination. And finally, Electroplasma Explosion, shoot a cloud of high energy plasma forward, creating a lingering field that slows and damages enemies caught inside of it. A charged electroplasma explosion deals more damage and covers a larger area. So those abilities sound good, and like I said, I'll be breaking down her in a whole separate video. And not forgetting about Hawkeye, I've already made a whole separate video on Hawkeye and all of his abilities. A full breakdown that is on my channel, so if you check the description, the link will be there, along in the comments. And if you click in the top right where that arrow is pointing, you'll be able to go straight to that video now. And finally, but not least, is Cloak and Dagger, who are going to have some really interesting abilities, and I'm looking forward to playing them. So starting off with the first one, we've got Light Force Dagger. Shoot a bouncing Light Force Dagger, inflicting damage on enemies while healing allies near the hit enemy. Dagger Storm, send out a volley of Light Force daggers. Shadow's Embrace, switch to Cloak, dealing damage to nearby enemies. Light's Embrace, switch to Dagger, healing nearby allies. Light Explosion, throw a cluster of daggers to heal allies within the range and grant them a healing boost. Terror Cape, damage enemies within the range and render them vulnerable. Eternal Bond, merge with Cloak and dash forward twice, healing allies and dealing damage to enemies along the path. Dark Force Cloak, inflict continuous damage to an enemy. And Dark Teleportation, create a Dark Force dimension area to shroud nearby allies around the Cloak. Cloak and the area can move during this duration. So that is all of the abilities. Like I said, if you want to pause the screen and read the biography, then you can. But I'll be making a separate video on all of these characters, just going a bit more in depth. And yeah, guys, if you are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Leave any comments down below on what you think about all of these characters. And leave a comment on which character you want to be in the game that hasn't been mentioned here. So yep, I've been Az, you guys have been awesome, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.